You're practically panting.
I'm excited.
Such a puppy.
Hey guys, Ace Trader Liam here, and I know this isn't probably the video you're expecting to see today, but it's a very special video with a very special guest. So please welcome the one and only Zach Fair off of the Final Fantasy. Look at that. Integrate. Who the hell are you? Of course not. It's the one and only Tifa Lockhart. Although, I know, obviously, most people on the channel know who you are, but do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Because they might not recognize you.
It's me, it's Sophie.
It's blooming Sophie.
Everyone knows it's fair.
And basically, the point of this video, we're gonna have a little chat about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because somebody, me, got a lovely invite from Square Enix. Thank you very much, Square Enix, to go and play Final Fantasy Rebirth early at the headquarters down in London, didn't I? And then I couldn't go because of some other game which I wasn't going to mention, but it's fine. But Sophie went in my stead for the channel, for you and for me.
I did.
And I wonder,
and for me.
And you had a mint time, right?
I did. It was the best time, genuinely. It was so much fun. So everyone's so nice there.
So thank you, Square Enix, once again, because thank you very much. But it means that we've got someone with some hands-on knowledge of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is out on Leap Day next year, which is February 29th.
It's so weird saying it, isn't it?
It's so weird. Every time.
I said that to someone because obviously I posted a little TikTok about this interaction, and someone commented, "When's the release date?" And obviously I typed that out and they went, "Yeah, okay." And I was like, no, it's really a leap year. They didn't believe me. I was like, no, it really is the 29th of February, guys.
Every time I see it written down, I'm like, oh, it's a leap year next year. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. 2024, every 4 years. But more important than leap years, just give us an overall, because we know you had a great day because you're in the company of some lovely, lovely people. But tell us your initial thoughts when you were playing, like opening it up for the first time and jumping into like the demo that was available.
Well, I was a big fan of the original remake anyway. Like the original remake blew my expectations. And I didn't think I would have that same feeling sitting down to a game that is essentially a part 2 of a game that's already out. But when I sat down, even just the slight changes and the jump in graphic quality is actually quite staggering. Like, even though the quality of the graphics in the remake is insane, you can actually see a bit of detail improvement on certain things within the new game.
I mean, I didn't personally, but did you play the, they did the free PS5 upgrade for Final Fantasy VII Remake?
No, yes, I did.
Did you play it?
And
did it look? Would you say it looked better than that or on par?
On par, but I would say there's certain elements within the character details, like down with something like things that characters have on their actual outfits that have been improved upon. Oh, nice. As a cosplayer, I kind of really focus on those things because I'm like, do I want to dress as this character? Maybe.
Yeah, you're more about the characters and the clothing rather than like the backgrounds and the scenery and whatnot.
Scenery.
From what I've seen, and we'll be interlacing footage over the top. I might have already done it now. You can see just how amazing some of these like landscapes and things look. It looks really good.
It is. It was so insane.
Just for those who may be a little bit doubtful, because, we're on the internet and people are always horrible, tell everybody, like, your, I guess, qualification of how much does Sophie know about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
Well,
remake, sorry.
Remake. I have platinumed the whole game and the DLC, which includes fighting Vice, I think.
Vice is mean.
I think if I'm able to find it, I do have a clip of me beating it on stream, and if Liam will interlace it. If not, we'll just put a face. We'll put a little bit going, soz. Are you serious? He's still alive? How? Oh, thank fuck for that. Oh, I was about to get so angry if he was still alive. But I can attest there's a lot of people in the community who has seen me beat it on stream. I played that game to death. The moment I finished it, I started again. Went through it in hard mode, even though everyone said you had to max out your stats. But I like a challenge me. So I went through just with my current stats. And it was an insane experience. Like, the actual main game was so much fun without playing through it in hard mode that when I played through it in hard mode, I couldn't believe I was having even a better time.
Yeah. Because of the added challenge.
Just I was like, because I like in games I like my ass kicked. That's genuinely true.
Like I played it. I've not played it on hard mode. I played it on standard when it came out. Like I streamed it not on here. I streamed it on Twitch.
On Twitch,
But
back in
next
the old
time
days.
we'll be on here.
We will.
And like, as a long-time Final Fantasy fan, just super awesome, super awesome. But we need to talk about Rebirth.
We
now.
do.
So jumping into Rebirth, and they let you loose, and you've seen the characters and the up in graphical quality. What was the gameplay like?
Gameplay's insane. Like, so to kind of give more context, essentially I played 2 demos, both 25 minutes long, each in different sections of the game. One focusing more on story, one focusing more on gameplay and the open world aspects of the game. So for the first one, I played as like Cloud and Sephiroth, which is going up through Nibelheim, which is another interesting. I know this isn't the answer to your question, but this is like an interesting like tidbit that I noticed. The voice actor for Cloud has done a fantastic job. I don't want to talk in too much detail about the story plot because there is going to be people who've never played the original game. But Cloud's portrayal in this particular moment is very, very intriguing. He has done an excellent job because when you know the context of the backstory, which you will find out in Rebirth, you will be blown away by how much good job this man has done.
So basically, it's without spoiling, it's very much Cloud sounding like
He's sounding
a
like
different character.
A different character
that's very familiar.
That's very familiar, and you honestly, it's
rather than your standard stoic.
It's so
Cloud.
surreal. It's not something I ever even considered would be something that would come out through the Rebirth.
Well, when you play through those kinds of things in the original Final Fantasy VII, obviously there's no voice acting. So when you're reading the lines of Cloud, even though it's like Cloud at a younger stage in his life, you'd never read it as Cloud as a kid or a younger person. You just, whatever voice you have for Cloud in your head, you just read it as that.
Like, if you've played Final Fantasy VII, you obviously know the story and you know what these parts mean. But because you play it, it's such an old game now, you can't infer certain things. Like, there's no voice acting, there's no, facial recognition.
A lot is left to the imagination.
A lot is left to the imagination. So it's just not something I even considered would be such, like, it blew me away. I was like, that's such a smart detail.
Subtle detail, great like voice direction as well. So like credit to the voice director.
But yes,
and to the actor.
The best part of the demo was you got to play as Sephiroth. May I just point out?
Now, I was going to ask you about this because I've seen some footage of, I mean, everyone's seen footage now of Cloud and Sephiroth doing their synergizing move, which we'll get onto in a little bit.
I will.
But the interesting thing is, I may be remembering this wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, but in the original Final Fantasy VII, during an area where you played with Sephiroth on your team, you couldn't control Sephiroth's actions. He just acted for you, didn't he?
No, well, I think he did. He did act for you. You fight him. You fight a dragon, if I remember correctly, and he just attacks it and one shots it. I think you can click attack, but the idea is like he just kills it in one hit.
Like he just picks like Bolt 3 and stuff like that.
Like you play as him, but you don't really play as him, I think is the implication in the original game.
In Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, what's the situation?
You play as him.
We control
It is insane.
our boy.
For those who've played the remake, you'll know that we're able to switch between characters regularly as much as you want. You can switch to Sephiroth for this whole section. Because obviously I played as Cloud before, I was like, I'm staying as Sephiroth for this entire demo. And he hits like a truck. His limit break is your favorite move, which is insane. So for example, you go through it and you fight a Material Keeper, which is in the original.
The Material Keeper.
Material Keeper is the boss that you fight in this particular demo.
That's the one with Trine. You get Trine.
Yes, you get Trine from in the original game. So he pops up, and you have to you're learning synergy because you can do synergized moves now with characters. Every single character has a combination with the other character. It just depends on your configuration for your team. So Cloud and Sephiroth had their own unique one, and obviously because this is kind of a point in the game where the story is more of the focus, you are forced to use the synergy moves, which are insane. Like, I didn't like there's one little, this is gonna make you laugh, right? I noticed it after playing it on the gameplay. You can no longer jump. Right?
Oh, because in Remake you could jump.
You could jump in Remake, and I remember just thinking that way through the demo, something's off, and I couldn't click what it was. And it was another creator that pointed it out to me, and I was like, yes, that's it. That's what I couldn't do. I couldn't jump. And instead of jumping now, you have combinations with characters. So, for example, Cloud can knock you up a bit. I think I'm not.
I bet so many people want that to happen.
I think I'm not. Unfortunately, I didn't get it in my gameplay, but other people had spoke to me about it. You can use basically instead of jumping, you can use combos that will knock people up in the air to get in the air rather than jump into the air to start the attacks. Now, as I said, I only played 2 25-minute demos, so I didn't have enough time to really get to grips with it. But yeah, like you can no longer jump. And
is it something where you feel like you're gonna miss?
I
the
don't
jump?
know.
Because
at the moment, it's too early days. I don't feel like I missed it too much. It was frustrating at times not being able to get in the air because I was so used to being like, okay, I'll jump to catch this sky enemy. But I just think it's more of a learning curve. I think once I get to grasp with the new way of doing it, it won't be too much of an issue. But it was certainly a shock.
I mean, I remember when we talked about this before after you came back from the event, and when you said to me, "Oh yeah, you can't jump anymore," someone had to point that out to me. I was like, "Wait, you could jump in Reno?"
Yeah,
and
you did.
I didn't even remember it was an option, and that might be because
I think it's because you've not played it in a while.
I think A, because I've not played it in a while, and B, because in between I've played the Crisis Core reunion,
You have, and
in that I was so used to Zach just doing his jump moves as an ability.
I'm glad you played reunion. It's so good.
Oh, I know, it's so good.
But yeah,
that's when we got this boy as
this
well.
is a baby favorite character. So yeah, you get to play Sephiroth the whole time if you want to, if you choose to, and you can activate his limit break, which made me do a little squeal because you guys know what it is.
Let us know in the comments. I want to see people not Google it.
Like I'm hoping I'm remembering correctly, but I remember it being that. It may be a variation of it, but to me it was that.
It felt familiar.
It felt
to you
familiar.
enough.
So I could be wrong that it's not the exact move, but to me, from what I remembered, it was. But yeah, you go through that whole fight, and that whole section is kind of about exploration, a bit of story. Tifa's there in a cowgirl outfit, which love.
Can't wait for that cosplay.
I need to cosplay. That whole section is very interested. Like the people there were saying, make sure you explore because there's so many little nooks and crannies where you can find little items, materia. There's new materia by the looks of things. I didn't get a full grasp of what the new materia was, but there were certain materials I was picking up that I didn't fully recognize, which is going to be interesting. And it was obviously saying, make sure you swap out your materia. You know, try
test
materia,
everything out.
try things out. So it was quite fun, and the journey to Nibelheim is beautiful.
Oh yeah,
just visually,
just like
visually
traveling on
You're
the way.
trying just through crystals. It's all sparkly.
Okay.
I laughed because someone else did it too. I immediately went back just to be like, can I go back?
Just
Can I
have
go
a little
back?
Look around.
Yeah, to see if I could go back. And they're like, you can't access area in demo. I was like, no.
Oh.
I tried to be cheeky. I had that happen 6 times.
Imagine the feeling of privilege you've got where you're like, oh, I've seen Nibelheim before loads of times. I want to go to that place. Right?
Just
amazing.
No, you weren't in Nibelheim. It was just the caves.
Oh,
up.
I thought you meant on the way to
No,
Nibelheim.
I went backwards to see.
my
So
apologies.
for context, the where that demo is the journey from Nibelheim up to the Materium reactor.
Oh, yes.
You know,
the Mako reactor.
The Mako reactor, there you go. And you travel up with Cloud, Tifa, Sephiroth, and 2 Shinra grunts. That journey is where the demo is, and right after the battle, it ends with there's a lovely little cutscene where Sephiroth calls Cloud a puppy, which I'm sure everyone.
Oh mate, I've seen TikToks galore of him calling him a puppy.
Oh, what a puppy! Because he's so excited. The Cloud is excited, and he's just really enthusiastic, and he comes across very young and kind of naive, whereas Sephiroth is portraying the very. I'm looking after you. Yeah,
like he's very much good guy Sephiroth.
Yeah, he's good guy Sephiroth at this point.
And like,
which is surreal.
if you've played Crisis Core as well, if you'd never played Crisis Core before, good guy Sephiroth is really unsettling because
yeah, it is a bit.
Anyone that's played Remake and anyone that's played 7 knows obviously Sephiroth's, how he ends up at the end of Remake, and. In Crisis Core, because it's so many years before that happens, you've just got Sephiroth just cracking wise and smiling a lot, and it's so weird. It's very jarring.
It is jarring because he literally saves your life in the middle of a battle, and you're like, okay,
it adds to the depth of the character.
But it's great. It's really cool, and some of the dialogue interactions with Tifa. There's also, I don't know if this was in the original. I don't remember this being in the original. We can jump up walls. So there's a wall I was climbing that had these yellow lines on them, and you could jump to climb up.
Oh, so a little bit like the places where there were ladders.
Yes, but it was
And
walls.
like when you're on the rooftops with Aerith in Remake, there's those little arrows and you could hop.
Yeah.
So there's like a similar marker to that.
Similar to that, but it's like very intuitive. Like it's not on the screen visible.
Oh,
But
okay.
you can see there's yellow lines that you're like, okay, I could do something with that.
And Cloud can kind of like hoist himself up.
Like
or-
in that area, you come out the caves and you can see just the sea and stuff. It's so cool.
Ooh.
Like my mind's just blown by seeing the world because obviously it was contained within just Midgar in the previous
Yes,
one.
it was very, it was completely Midgar focused.
It's just so surreal to be in these places and seeing them not in polygon graphics.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So
In terms of the world, because obviously one of the big things that everyone's really excited for is the fact that the world is opening up beyond Midgar.
oh yeah.
How is it in terms of, because I've seen that it's not an open world. It's not fully open world, but I get kind of a Final Fantasy 16 vibe from it, where like you go to an area and there's a large expanse of that area.
I would say it's exactly like
Is it-
that.
is it
more
like
or less. So the second part of the demo, which is basically for the story context, I think it's more or less just as they get to Juno, which is the giant place with the gun,
The giant cannon.
the giant cannon. So you're just getting there. You literally just are there with a chocobo and looking ahead. Wait until I get talking about the chocobo. You're not.
I'm excited. I've got it in the back of my mind that that's going to be a whole thing on its own.
Yeah, that's where we are at the moment. The team is, as we are in the remake, it is Tifa, Aerith, Cloud, Barrett, and Red.
Who is now
Playable.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he's good. But so you're basically in that part of the game, and this is where the world kind of opens up. So there's a bit of dialogue just saying, oh, we kind of need to go through there. We need to figure out why we know where we're going.
Yeah.
Cool. So you just kind of get let go, do what you want on a chocobo.
Just
So
roam.
this chocobo had a hat and like a little outfit on, and it was a black chocobo, and I was like, oh, do we just get? I wonder, I wonder if this is like a bred chocobo, because in the original game you had to breed them. You don't have to breed them.
I'm so excited.
You don't have to breed them.
I was going to ask later, but tell us about the chocobos and their customization.
Okay, so the chocobos surprised me the most. So chocobos are completely customizable, and you can swim in them.
Do you know how
Already.
they're acquired? Like, do you know?
So when I was playing the demo, you had an open spans area, like we were saying. It's kind of like Final Fantasy 16. There is a few checkpoint kind of places. So there's like a farm, a chocobo farm.
Okay.
And you walk there and you're like, oh, it's another one of these farms. So that implies that they'd already been to one. So it's like,
okay.
oh, this is another one. Oh, nice. There's a lot of them spread about. And then you can go to, you can go to the stall, and you could buy then all of a Shinra set of equipment for your chocobo. Like a whole Shinra outfit. I was like, oh, and then I obviously tested it just to go into and you can just equip it all to look at it, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't think you can have every single item on, but you could definitely put one on just to
like
look
have a look how the
yeah,
looks
and I was
things
just like, there's a whole Shinra gear, and obviously I couldn't buy it because it's a demo, so I didn't have the money for it. But that was very interesting to find out. And then I later found out you could swim.
So
You can travel. The old chocobo just swims and does anything. Like, I don't know if you access it like later on and you level up, because in the original game those abilities were locked behind breeding.
Yes, you had to breed the two yellow to get eventually a
black.
blue.
I think it was blue, and then it's green, and then it's black, and then it's gold.
Something like
Eventually,
that.
you need to get to gold so you could get Knights of the Round Table. But from the implication of this, I think it's the chocobos either unlock the abilities or they already have all these abilities.
Yeah.
I think because we don't have an open big map, they're not as sought after, whereas you're just traveling, like Final Fantasy 16, you're just traveling across a large
It's not like Final Fantasy VII, the original, where you go out onto the world map, and if you had the means, you could go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's more of this chocobo can go up all the mountains in this area, but once you reach the invisible wall at the edge of the area,
That's
you
it.
can't go
Yeah,
any further than that
exactly, yeah.
anyway. So
So
I do wonder, I mean, I guess we'll find out when the game comes out, if it's a case of, like you say, do you unlock them as you go, or is it just here's a chocobo that can do literally everything?
I have the suspicion, because judging from where it is in the story and we can already swim, it's going to be a bit like that.
I
don't know for sure, because obviously I don't have that information.
given that
but
you're like fresh out of Midgard,
the fact
it's
that
very
you
early.
could swim
Yeah.
already, and this is like just, so basically this is just after the first chunk of what the leaving Midgard would be. This is with the giant snake, and you've gone through Meteor Cave. So this is literally this is still very early game. Like, this is like, your characters are not like super far in the story.
And do you know if the chocobo color is just your choice?
Now,
Can you
I
dye
did
your
not
chocobo?
see any options to change my chocobo, but considering I was riding a black chocobo and usually the gold,
Yeah.
I have a suspicion that we might be able to choose them.
Because we could
Or they'll
choose
be
them in 15, couldn't we?
I don't remember, if I'm honest. It's been so long since I played it.
Or maybe I'm thinking maybe it's in 14. I'm pretty sure in 15, Noctis could have any color chocobo.
It might be, yeah. Like,
Maybe.
usually, traditionally, you would have to breed for one, or you would have to get one, or you'd have to capture one. I think, judging from the fact that we're getting customizable clothing, that I do think maybe we do get to customize the colors.
Yeah, maybe there's a possibility. we
But
can dye
maybe
the
they're
feathers.
locked behind certain things.
Yeah.
You know, like, you have to work for it. So
Discover
it's not
certain
just,
things. A bit like other games where it's like you found the color scheme for this kind of outfit, but you've not found the outfit yet and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, my favorite part about the chocobo, red on chocobo, is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I need to put a bit of footage there for Red 13 riding
Red,
a chocobo.
I don't know what I expected, but I had to, because obviously I was in a room of people. I didn't want to burst out laughing in front of, but I nearly burst out laughing. He is a sight to behold, which I'm sure Liam will have put on screen.
Absolutely. Like, you know, everyone else is a human just chilling, and then you've got Red 13. One character that we haven't seen, I don't think, riding a chocobo yet, that now after seeing Red, I'm really intrigued for, is Katsith.
I know, that's so interesting. Yes, that's a
Because
good point.
obviously, if I was designing it, it would be.
And we know for a fact Katsith does have his big fluffy buddy,
He does. He has his Moogle.
because in the
mob
film,
thing.
obviously he lost him.
He did, yeah.
I don't know why. I
In
don't know what the
Advent
choice was. I
Children,
don't know
yeah.
what the choice was. Maybe it was just a choice they made, but he didn't have it in that. So
Yeah.
I was like, please have the big fluffy boy.
But I'm just wondering, because if I was designing it, what I would do is either obviously have the big fluffy boy doing the riding and then the cat on the chocobo's head or something.
Oh, that'd be so
Or
cute.
the cat riding the chocobo and the big boy runs behind.
Oh yes, because
That's-
I remember my mind being blown when I realized the cat is in control.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean,
was like,
everybody's.
I was like, the cat's in control. I know it's obvious when you think about it, but it's also like, oh, oh, he's the-
great stuff.
yeah, it's good.
And then when you find out more, which I won't say, about the identity of
we're
this
trying to be.
character.
I know we understand the game is old.
It's
but
a
there is gonna
20-plus-year-old game.
There is also going to be a large part of the fan base that hasn't played the original, and for respect of them, I do.
Oh, yeah,
We're going
absolutely.
to try and
Like-
keep it as spoiler free as possible.
Like, if you know anyone or you see anyone that is playing through Final Fantasy for the first time using Remake and Rebirth and the next one,
Yeah.
and they don't know the story beats, do them a favor and don't spoil anything.
Honestly,
for 'em.
if I could-
remember all the times you were like, oh my god, this has happened. It's taken my breath away, and there's a lot of that in Final Fantasy VII. Don't.
Honestly, if
rob
there was
someone.
a part of me wishes I could just play it without knowing anything.
Yeah, that's
but
it.
the nice thing about this is they are making changes to the story, so it is a bit of a experience for us, even us who've played through the original, because there has been a very drastic change.
And that is what I was going to ask you about, because
Yeah,
obviously
go for
in
it.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, we had quite a few little tweaks to the story. We had
did.
a new character introduced. We also had the wisps, I think they were, the
Yeah,
ghosts
the-
that basically...
kind of like seem like they're trying to maintain the timeline.
Yeah, they're a little bit, Loki's TVA kind of thing.
Yeah,
where
a
it's,
little bit.
they're making sure that everything that is destined to happen happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming there's more stuff like that in Rebirth.
Well, obviously, I don't know too much about the changes, but there's one very distinctive change that I thought was very smart. So, for those who have played the original Final Fantasy and probably played the DLC, you know that Yuffie is a character. In the original game, Yuffie was a optional character. Like, you could play through, like, as a kid, I played through the whole game without getting Yuffie and without getting Vincent. But in this game, the way they've done it is they've made her a mandatory part of the story, so you can't miss her. So there is a particular part where you have to use a dolphin to get up to Juno, to get to the cannons, and before that you fight a boss because there's a little girl, like she's stuck, she's drowning in the water.
Is she like struggling to swim?
Yeah,
and-
she's struggling to
yeah.
swim, and there's this monster coming for her. But then I remember, I get to this point, and the girl's like, quickly, help, help. And I'm like, this is the little girl that's usually in the water. She's calling for my help. So I'm following her. And wait, she looks perfect, by the way. She looks exactly like I would have
Does
thought
she?
she was, yeah. And she's like, look. And in the water is Yuffie in the boat.
Yeah.
Yuffie's the one that's being like attacked by the monster. And I was just like, of course, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So instead of like you're saving the girl, you're saving Yuffie, and it adds like her to your party. I don't know, because we did do the boss, which was great. He even had a water cage, which was in the original move in the game, where it would trap you and you had to run over to the enemy and hit them until the ball came off, which I thought was fantastic, because obviously that is something that was known for that monster back in the original game, and they've really added it and improved upon it and made it like an important part of the match, which was really cool. So you do that boss fight and then Yuffie's just there, and I'm like, this must be how she gets added to the party. Like this,
it gives it. I guess it gives it a little bit more of emotional weight as well, because originally when you meet her, and you know, this is a minor spoiler for Final Fantasy VII Original, but basically you meet Yuffie on the world map, the overworld, and you encounter her in a battle, and then I think you defeat her. Yeah,
so she'll appear in a random battle, you fight her, and she will be having like a tantrum at the end of the battle. You go to a different screen, and if you were given a series of questions where you have to answer correctly. I remember, for example, I got half through the questions correctly and I tried to save, she steals your money.
Oh.
So it's stuff like that. It's quite a smart way of doing it, but you have to do this perfectly, and then she would be like, okay, I'll join your team.
Which is an interesting way of getting a character, but I feel like the way they've done it in Rebirth...
Well, it kind of like... It's not that she wasn't important to the story, but like the problem with having like, I guess, extra characters, which I loved as well at the same time because it was great, is that there obviously the game has been designed in a way that you can play through the whole game without their dialogue even interlocking with everything. Whereas this one, it feels like she's a real important...
So sometimes in certain scenes, like her dialogue and sometimes Vincent's dialogue can feel a little bit...
just
generic, like, I am also here.
Little bit. Like, there is obviously very important dialogue as a whole mission with Yuffie.
Yeah.
And same with Vincent. And there's very distinctive battle with Vincent later on as well. But it's one of those, it feels like it's more important to have her added to the team forcibly.
Yeah.
Rather
absolutely.
than
like,
having
make her a mandatory part of the team, because then as well, and obviously we got a bit of extra story about Yuffie in Integrate.
We did, which was great.
But it means this. I think this way of finding her makes her a bit more important emotionally to the characters themselves, because it's like, that's that girl we saved. She's really grateful that we saved her. Maybe we can do more to help her out later on.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
We don't know, because unfortunately that's when the demo ends. Yeah. And I was like, nah.
But it's one of those where it's like, you know that going forward in like the more cinematic parts of the game, Yuffie and Vincent eventually is going to have a more important role to play. Yeah. Like, it's not going to be like,
all their roles just going to be expanded upon. It feels a bit more, less just they're there. Because there is times, like, especially in Northern Crater, where they're just kind of there.
Yeah, less of like, I'm just saying something so that I can have said something. Yeah. It's more like, I'm going to say something that means something
integral
to
the story.
Like, I'm like, let's say Yuffie's going to say something to Sephiroth at some point, and Sephiroth is going to respond to her,
that's
as if he's talking to Yuffie. Like, instead of it just being like, I'll just carry on talking to Cloud, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's... I like that they're doing that. I like that they're incorporating that story a bit more.
I did. I thought it was a really smart change, personally.
And I am interested to see, like, if there are more... Did you notice any more changes or anything in the story, or...?
There is little things, but not really. It's one of those... it's more not changes, but expanded upon scenes that didn't have a lot of meat to begin with.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Like, fleshing it out a little bit more.
Yeah, fleshing out, I would say. It's like... Because obviously the Cloud and Sephiroth section is actually... It's very much you're just kind of watching it unfold in the game, but it looks like you're playing it this time, so I feel like there's a bit more going on.
Yeah,
which is
like
nice.
you as a player feel a bit more.
I feel
involved
important to it. Yeah. But yeah, I think at the moment that's the only distinctive change. It's nice to see again that NPCs are kind of making a more important role. There was an NPC that literally recognizes you when you walk into the town, and she's like, "You're wanted." Ooh, Aerith is worth $1 million. And like she's like going through the because we've all got wanting posters now of what Shinra's after us. And then it's quite a funny interaction actually, because Aerith is like, I'm worth $500,000, which is great.
It's nice to be valued, isn't it? Aerith?
Everyone else is like bloody 10 grand, and she's like, I'm $500,000. Like
I'm an ancient.
You could tell she's like smug, and it's a really funny like moment.
I love stuff like that. And they've done the character work really well.
They did. And then Barrett's just like, look, I don't want to hurt you, but let's just get on with it. Let us through, because we don't want to start a fight. And she's like, I hate Shinra. I don't care. Like, I'm just saying you're worth this much, and just behave yourselves or else.
Fair.
And it's quite fun. She's quite an intimidating character, but like because she's the mayor of the town.
Oh, okay.
As you walk in, or the sheriff. I can't remember if she's mayor and sheriff. It's been a while since I played it.
A
Merif.
Or a Shea.
But yeah, that was a fun interaction. That was like a fun little character moment. Where, like, you know, I remember that moment line with Aerith really well because I got a proper little laugh out of me. I was like, that's nice.
So in terms of like, I'm thinking about like items and stuff like that. I've heard talk of like crafting and things, and I wondered if you could tell us a little bit.
Okay.
Did you get to craft anything?
I did get to craft anything. You're going to love this, actually. So, obviously, as we said before, it is quite open world, but kind of like a controlled open world. So it's a big, large area space, and you're kind of continue on a path.
Yeah.
It feels very free, like I will say. Obviously, there was areas I couldn't go to because of the demo, but it did feel like a free area. As you walk around, there'll be little icons on the floor, and you're like, what's that? And you go to like a bunch of 4 of them, picked up 4 of this item. And you're like, and then you'll get a notification, you can now craft a potion.
Oh.
So as you're going around the map, so I start picking up everything. You can craft an elixir, you can craft a high potion, you can craft this. So then you can go into the menu and then you can see all the items you need to farm to collect and start making items. Now, I don't know how far it goes, but as I only was able to do like high potion, elixir, and a potion. That is all that was available to me. But that gives you so much like options. What if that's with weapons? What would that with? You know, it could be anything.
Like weapon
that could
upgrades
be,
and things.
It could be for chocobo armor.
Oh, it
could
proper
be for
tickles
anything
my
that.
fancy.
And there's so you can run around the map and you'll just find these items. And a lovely little touch is that you don't have to pick them up individually. If you're around 5, they all pick up.
Oh,
it's
yes,
so
please.
nice. I'm just like, I've picked up 5. Honestly, the serotonin over to my soul. I was like,
I don't have to click individuals.
Yeah, it was so. I was like, thank God they've done that because I think I'd die.
I mean, I'm just thinking now of certain cowboy games where you have to select things individually and then do a whole animation to pick the item and then go to the next one. Oh,
they don't
man.
even animate. It's just like you've got them. You
Boom.
walk back.
We
you
love
can pick
that.
them up on
We
chocobos too.
We love simplicity.
I think you could pick it up on a chocobo too.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Which is great.
Yeah, because you'd hate to want to like have all that convenience and then have to
jump
climb
off
off
the
again.
chocobo. The chocobo seems to be completely accessible at any time too. Call your chocobo as a command.
Oh, nice. Okay,
So
with the D-pad, I think, isn't it? Or...
Essentially, it was one of the back buttons, I think.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember which one exactly. But yeah, there was also a very cool feature that was on the open areas that I wasn't expecting.
Okay.
So there was 4 hunt monsters for you to fight.
Ooh.
So kind of like, I think it gives me about a Final Fantasy 12 vibes where you had to hunt like monsters down specifically. But you remember in the original game, we had the lad who was like talking to us on channel, can you do these fights for us? And that's how we fought all the summons.
Yes.
He's talking to you about this monster saying, this is why this is special, why you're fighting it. And you have particular rewards for doing certain things. So if you stagger him, if you kill him within the time limit, and if you pressure him, you get bonuses.
Oh.
Now, I only managed to pressure one of them because I didn't understand how to pressure them. But obviously, staggering and stuff I got
and
the hang
the
of
game's
it.
tutorial will give you a refresher.
Give you a refresher. But it was very interesting. A few of us, I think stagger seems to be a newer... pressure, seems to be a newer thing. Because obviously stagger was always a thing, but pressure does seem to be a new thing. The battle I did manage to get the pressure on changed the battle. The monster became more aggressive.
Oh,
So it was an interesting change in gameplay because I noticed he was charging more and the dialogue was like, oh, you've pressured him.
Oh.
So it seems to slightly change the fight if you manage to pressure them. But I don't know what the benefit that I grasped from it, I think this is the benefit, is that you were doing more damage while pressured.
Oh, okay.
Not as much as staggered, but you were hitting harder. But the problem is he's hitting harder too.
Because he's now more aggressive, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that was a very interesting one. There was 4 on the map, and you also had the option to redo them. So if you failed,
or if you didn't get the bonus rewards,
if you didn't get the bonus, you could just redo it.
Oh, nice.
On the spot, it was nice. So
on the spot.
On the spot, you just click redo.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I don't know if that's because it was the demo or if that's going to be a feature within the main game.
And I do wonder if it's like if you've done it, can you then select it again?
Maybe the
as
possibility,
an option, or can you go out the
The
area
menu's
back in,
completely different now, so
Is
it's
it?
like the layouts are really cool. It's like all the characters are going like stances. It's not like before it was like a picture of them all.
Yeah.
Now they're all stood there.
Ooh.
Like kind of like in an idle animation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we only had like 3 configurations for the teams that you were allowed to pick. So you could be Cloud, Aerith, or Red, which I had to be because Red.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett. And then Cloud, Barrett, and Red, which I was like,
So,
Avalanche Buddies!
Avalanche buddies. Just to clarify, with those team formations, is that those are ones set in the game that you choose, or was
I
that
think
for the
that was
purpose of the demo?
exclusively for the demo. I do
Right.
think we're going to be able to form
Like
our own
before
ones.
the game started, were you told which people do you want to use?
No, I
or-
wasn't, but it was. They did say there was set teams, so I
Right.
don't think that's going to be forced upon you in the later games. I think that was more just for
You think
the
you
game.
can choose it, like set up individual teams, like 2 or 3
I
teams,
think
and then
so.
switch between them? Because we do have a lot
Possibly.
of characters, don't we? We have like
Yeah, we
I want
do.
to say 8 characters. No, more than that. 10, I want to say.
Well, at that point in the game,
Cloud, Tifa,
we still need to
Barrett,
get Yuffie,
Aerith,
Vincent,
Yuffie, Vincent, Sid later,
and Sid later,
Cat Sith later.
and Cat Sith later.
Who have I missed?
I think that's it.
Cloud, Barrett, Tifa, Aerith, Yuffie. We know those ones. Red, Cat Sith, Sid.
There's also rumors that that Zack Fair might become a playable character.
There is apparently a certain area of the game. There's going to be a mandatory playable
Zack.
section.
So that should be that.
We don't yet
know
know
if that's going to be part of the main party or that's just going to be a side thing. We'll find out, I guess, later at time.
or some kind of memory.
But yeah, you got to change basically the formation. So I spent a lot of time in the Aerith, Red, and Cloud formation because I wanted to play Red exclusively. Because if you guys have played the remake, they did not have time to make Red playable in that game, which was very sad. But
so
I
he
will
was just
say,
automatic in remake.
he's done really well. Yeah, he does this full fucking spinning crap. It's so cool. He just you just hold the button and he's spinning.
Nice.
And he just hits like a truck, like full on, just clawing.
Like a really big heavy hitter.
Yeah, I think normally in the original game, my team always was Cloud, Red, and Tifa, and I feel like him and Tifa have a similar play style.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, it's so funny actually because I spent so long as Red. I was like, I should play my girl Tifa because favorite character, and I literally as if I hadn't put the game down once. I just destroyed everything.
Just switched straight from Red
I
to
was
Tifa.
like,
It was just like, close
yeah.
combat, let's
and
go.
I already know how to use Tifa. Let's just go back to Red. Let's relearn it. It was fun playing as Barrett again. I really miss
I
playing.
can't wait
as
to play as Barrett again. He was my favorite to play as.
All the
in
characters
remake.
seem to play the same, except obviously with the changes of the synergization.
Oh, you mean play the same as they did in remake?
Yes. They all play the same as they used to, in terms of combat style. So it was really cool just being like, oh, I know how to play this character. Oh, I know how to play this
jumping
character.
straight in.
But obviously now they all have synergized move, which I was able to access quite a few of them.
Do they have to charge the synergized
Now,
moves?
I didn't
or...
fully. I was struggling to get them. I do think you have to charge them. I think the idea is you have to have both full limit breaks. But then I also need to think maybe certain other criteria has to be met. I couldn't work out exactly what it was.
Oh,
But
okay.
I remember at one point when I was doing the stagger, I was using Aerith for this battle because needed a bit of range, and hers triggered to do with I could go and select hers with Red, and I was like, I don't know why I can because I know I didn't have full limit break on her, but not full limit. Sorry, a full gauge. Basically, obviously, you have command gauges where you can select moves.
Yes.
And I didn't have one of them full, so I thought that was really interesting. I didn't have, and then I clicked it, and they did the move, which was so cool. I think I got to see Aerith Cloud, Aerith Red. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see Tifa's at all because I tried to stay in teams with Red.
Yeah.
I saw Red and Barrett's, and I saw Cloud and Reds.
Ooh.
Clouds and Reds was just really.
I know we've seen in the trailer, we've seen Aerith and Cat Sith, we've seen Yuffie and Barrett.
Yeah,
which
there
are
is
really
some
cool.
seriously cool combinations. It's such a fun way to make everyone feel important as well. It's important to have that synergy in a battle because you always think when you're playing these games they would work together more.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's cool that they have all these combos and they do a lot of damage. So that's why I think you have to meet certain criteria as well.
Yeah, because it's not like a move that you're going to want to throw around.
I don't feel like it would have been fair. It's kind of like a limit break. I feel like
maybe in story mode, it'll charge faster or something.
Well, there was, like I said, there was a set one that I had to use in the Meteor Keeper one.
The Cloud and Sephiroth.
Yeah,
that
was forced upon me, kind of essentially. Not forced upon me. I probably didn't have to select it, but it came up as use this. So I did use it. And
is it
cool.
a really obvious notification?
Yeah. It was a bit use your synergy. A little pop up, like a tutorial thing. Use your synergization.
the little windows with with the little video in and the text. Yes, so
exactly.
that very Final Fantasy VII remake Crisis Core kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But there was also kind of a lot of little cool, I guess, just graphical things. So there's obviously Shinra kind of rules the world. And there's loads of like join Shinra now, like
Shinra propaganda.
Yeah,
everywhere.
like big
That's
signs
mint.
of like them all like posing in pictures and
Yeah,
stuff, and
oh.
which is quite fun. Went past the sign like Shinra needs you today or something like that, and I was just like, oh god.
That's cool because that's one thing they did really well in remake.
Yeah.
Is they made the world feel so much more alive. Like obviously an easier thing to do than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah,
in the
I mean,
Polygon
even
people
them,
days,
I
but-
happily can play the original game. I think they did an excellent job on it.
Oh, absolutely. But like in terms of making the world feel super duper alive, they've just gone the extra.
They have gone the
with
extra
the remake
mile.
trilogy that they're doing. They've done so well.
I from what I've heard as well, we will get basically the end of the rebirth is going to be at the ancient area.
Oh, okay. The like the ruins of the Cetra.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's implied. Apparently, people have been talking about it, and they say that's where they think the demo ends.
Okay.
Which would be a very interesting endpoint, in my opinion. Obviously, knowing the context of the game that
Before
we do.
some big stuff. I mean, big stuff's
I
gonna
mean,
happen
I
in
feel
this.
like it's going to be post the big stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll find out.
We'll find out when it comes out. Is there anything else that you think you haven't covered?
No, not that I can think of. No, because we've covered all the customization and stuff, and we've also talked about how we can now craft items. And it did seem like the equipment setup was the same, materia is kind of the same.
Yeah.
There did seem like there was new materia, but I honestly didn't look detail enough to really have a valid opinion on them.
Yeah.
So I think that's everything. Unless there's anything you want to ask.
I'm just thinking if I have any questions, but I think you've covered pretty much everything that I can think of because you've covered red. You've covered red on a chocobo.
Yeah.
I noticed what you said about the chocobos. You said there were a few chocobo farms around.
Well,
I also saw
I
like
will
a
say-
chocobo stop, like a bus stop
Oh
thing.
God! I
How did
forgot
they
about
work?
that.
Oh, there we
my
go.
God, yeah. So right, when we went into obviously we went to down. I went down to Square Enix, and then the guys were like, by the way, Sophie, you can pet the chocobo. And I was like, well, okay, that's like a little hint. You can pet the chocobo. I was like, okay. So you go through the second part of the demo, which is where you kind of going through Juno to Juno, and there's like a fallen over chocobo stop.
I've got the footage of that.
Yeah,
You
and
lift
then
it
you
up.
pick it up, and then you can pet the baby because there's a baby chocobo running around a lot, and you can pet him on the head, and it's dead cute.
What feature? What does that do then? Once you've
Don't know.
Oh, we don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't know. So the only reason I know there's other chocobo farms was from a little bit of dialogue from someone in the party who said,
okay.
"Oh, look, another one, another chocobo place. Oh, that's handy."
Thus hinting that you've been to one already.
Yes, well, you will have had to because it was part of the main story. The
Yeah.
only way to proceed on, which was to have a chocobo.
I see.
So it makes sense, but it was just them like, this is another one. So I'm like, ooh, okay, that implies there's going to be quite a few chocobo farms.
Ooh.
Whereas in the base game, there was literally like one. But yeah, I forgot to mention, like at the start, before we went into a room to have like a message from the developers, and we got a message from the voice actors. It was really cool. They
Ooh.
were like, oh, you'll be the first people to play this, which was really cool.
Which voice actors?
We had Barrett, Aerith, and Yuffie.
Oh, mate.
It was so cool. So they first talked about how we were going to be the first people to play it, which was our absolute privilege. So I was like,
Thank you again, Square
Thank you
Enix.
again. It was we were going to be some of the first people to actually play and experience
so
the game.
Sorry.
And they, just thanking us and hope we enjoyed the demo. They talked about the demo, saying what they were going to be. And then at the end of it, we cut to Yuffie, who had a little to say excited for you guys to play it and her lines and stuff, which was really cool.
Aw.
Then we had Barrett, who was talking loads, and every time you say Avalanche, he would do it in Barrett's voice.
Really?
It was really cool. He'd be like, I just love the character so much. And he was quite funny. And then we had a little bit of Aerith, and Aerith's like, I'm really jelly because you get to play it before me.
Mate, so you got to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth before the voice actor for Aerith.
Apparently so. That's what she said.
Mate.
But yeah, that was really cool. It was lovely to get that message, and
Dude.
it was just insane. Like even just being in the office was beautiful.
Oh yeah,
It was all set up for Final Fantasy 16 too, so they had all the cutouts for it, and it was just.
If you've got a bunch of pictures and stuff, I'll
I
pop
will.
them up
I've
on
got
screen
footage.
as well.
I've got They had this really cool bar, which is just basically has Square Enix across it.
Oh, nice.
And you can just go there and be like, "Hello." I took a picture behind it, being like,
Tifa behind the
Tifa behind the
bar.
bar.
Because
And
of
then,
course you went in cosplay.
I made Ibs laugh because he was saying I was a one-woman photo studio because I was walking around with my stand.
You were in gremlin mode.
He has a picture of me gremlin and moaning on the floor.
Ibs, send us that picture. I want to see it.
And I was just like setting up pictures, but I got to, they had a Buster Store replica there. They had another sword that I've forgotten the name for now. It was like, I've got a picture of it as well. It was a red sword. If someone knows it,
You
comment
can let
it.
us know in the comments
Because
what sword it is.
I was told it, but it's completely
And
gone
who
out of my
wields
mind.
it?
They also had my absolute favorite dream figure of all time.
Is it the... I want to say... Wait. Is it the one of Zidane and Kuja? Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
the crystal fight. It's absolutely beautiful.
It's like
I
£1,000, isn't it?
I couldn't get over it staring. I did solidly stare at it for a bit. It is so cool. I have a video of that, so Liam will put that on the screen as well.
I'll pop that up.
It's a beautiful figure. They had so many cool things there, and they were all so lovely. It was just lovely. All the other creators were so nice too.
Well, I think on that note, it's definitely worth saying thank you very much, Square Enix, for giving us the opportunity to have Sophie play the game before some of the voice actors.
And Liam.
And I didn't get to go. No, I was invited, at least. I'll cling to that forever. I was invited.
You were
I was just
invited.
otherwise engaged. But thank you very much, Square Enix. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you do have any further questions about anything that we've covered in this and anything that Sophie might have forgotten to mention, I may have forgot to ask Sophie about, hit her up on Twitter @TierraStar or on Threads if you prefer Threads.
Or you can ask us in stream.
Or ask us in our live streams. You know, all the links to me and Sophie down in the description below. You know, all that stuff. If you want more podcasty stuff like this, let us know in the future. Other regular content will be coming out very soon. Don't worry. Liam's working on this. And get excited for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which comes out February 29th,
Which is so weird to say.
2024. It's such a weird...
Yes!
But it also means we'll never forget it
We
as well.
won't, no.
So,
never forget that.
Thank you for all of your info, your insider knowledge. I'm so salty. I will see you all next time. Have a good one. I'm Ace Train Liam. That's my bird. Or it could be Tifa Lockhart. I don't know anymore. Keep on training.